And you know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. Right.
Time for KP's Video News, y'all. First of all, go Dodgers, LA Dodgers. Congratulations on the World Series championship. LA Dodgers in the house. Congratulations, 2020 champions. Some folks say asterisk. But hey, it is what it is in 2020 COVID land. And Dodgers win. LA Lakers win. Hey, LA seems like it's the place to be if you want to go to for championships these days, or at least in 2020. Okay, folks, on with the show here, and I got some things on that I'm getting ready. I'm letting you know this stuff is going to be pretty bad. It's going to be kind of graphic, but let me get on with it. So we have the family and friends of 38-year-old Willie Brown Jr. gathered for a candlelight vigil there Friday night alongside community activists to share their grief and demand answers from authorities about what happened to him. Brown Jr. was found about 8:30 a.m. Monday at Countryside Community Park along Meadowhaven Drive just east of Power Inn Road, according to Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. His family said he's being kept alive by life support machines relying on ventilators, and so this is a crazy situation, man, we got going on right now. And so this is one of the things where the family is concerned, and they have signs demanding the FBI do an investigation. Were placed in the center of the South Sacramento basketball court, not far where a black father of 4 was found hanging from a basketball rim. So let me backtrack a little bit. I think about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I did a story about several hangings that had happened in the United States, and this is one of the latest ones. This happened in Sacramento just this past Friday. 38-year-old Willie Brown. So on with the story here. His family said he's being on life support, and so his brother Jonathan Brown said it's been difficult for him to see his brother in the hospital bed and non-responsive, and that's not the image of his brother he wants to remain ingrained in his memory. He said authorities need to investigate further, not try to sweep it under the rug. And as I said before, backtracking again, that there's been several lynchings here in the United States in the past few months, and each and every time it seems like the cops come up with the same answer. Oh, it was suicide. This guy's still alive. However, even though he's on life support, we'll get a chance to find out. Hopefully he'll come out of it and he'll be able to get a chance to say what happened. So now here we go again. Sheriff spokesman Sergeant Rodney Grassman said Friday afternoon that investigators have found no evidence to indicate foul play was involved. Here we go again. There's nothing to indicate that this is anything but a suicide, Grassman stated. And he also said detectives have shared some of that information with Brown's family. Sandra Brown, Brown's mother, said the sheriff's office has not given her or her husband a call to talk about what happened to her son. It breaks my heart even now speaking about it. I don't know what happened. I wish I did, but the little bit I heard just didn't add up. She said those gathered for the vigil. I'm standing here today demanding a full and thorough, complete investigation to tell me what happened to my son. The mother said she won't be able to rest until she knows what happened to her son, because the boy that I know I don't think could have done this to himself. She said her son is a highly intelligent man who loved his children dearly. In a recent conversation, Brown told his mother that he really wanted to see his kids, but he had to work all the time. Brown's family is trying to do what they can to pay for his any expenses, hospital bills and expenses. Doesn't sit right with the family, understanding the historical record of black men being found dead with their deaths ruled suicide, all while the victims of white supremacist hate crimes. Jaycine Brown, Brown's oldest brother, wrote on that we have seen a pattern of black men being hung over the last few months, all the while witnessing the violence white supremacist terrorist groups have been planning and executing in the same time frame. There was also an outcry for answers this summer in Southern California after 2 black men were found hanging from trees. And their bodies were discovered within 2 weeks of each other, and not long after the killing of George Floyd. And so Malcolm Harsh was found hanging from a tree near Victorville. I spoke on that. Robert Fuller was found hanging from a tree near Palmdale, California on June 10th. I spoke on that. In 2017, suicide was the second leading cause of death for African Americans ages 15 to 24, according to the Department of Health and Human Services Office. In that same year, the death rate from suicide from African American men was more than 4 times greater than for African American women, but the overall suicide rate for African Americans is 60% lower than that of non-Hispanic white population. Ongoing police violence against black men and women in the global pandemic killing black people is disproportionately high numbers comes at a very heavy mental and physical cost. Mental health experts say nothing that continues to be assessed. And that, it takes a huge toll, a societal toll. A Sacramento psychologist and family therapist stated that we're a group of people who have been dehumanized. We're seen as having a different experience. We work in the same places but experience dehumanization that is demoralizing. Brown's family and friends say that they want definitive answers about what happened to Brown and what circumstances might have led him there. They prayed Friday for recovery and for justice. And telling you, man, terrible situation. And that was story number 1 is going to story number 2, and it says the exact same thing. Hangings around the nation reference America's shameful past. America got a shameful past of lynching, and a probe investigating the hanging of a black man in Mississippi is closing, according to reports. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation announced this week that it is no longer investigating the death of 21-year-old Andrew Jones. Jones was found hanging from a tree in Scott County, Mississippi in February. So this is one that I missed. And local law enforcement believe that Jones committed suicide. However, his family believes that foul play was involved and the family of his ex-girlfriend might have killed him. His body had signs that he was beaten and tortured. And the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation told the family they could not determine if Jones killed himself or was murdered. And we want justice for Willie, his mother stated. And she said, we can't get justice without all the facts, and we can't get all the facts without a complete investigations. Activists in the area are not taking the closing of the investigation lightly, and the Mississippi State Conference of the NAACP want the investigation to continue. Suspicions exist about the killing being racially motivated, and Jones's ex-girlfriend father allegedly called him a nappy-headed thug, so he was dating a white girl. We continue to support the Jones and the Townsend family search for answers, so NAACP stated. The Jones family is now seeking legal representation. The hanging death of Jones is just one of several that have made headlines recently, and it says a black woman was found hanging from a tree in a parking lot of a Walmart in College Park, Georgia. And once again, the police have ruled the death a suicide. 2 weeks earlier, a man whose race has not been determined was found hanging from a bridge near downtown Atlanta. It's another one I didn't know about. The man reportedly had a chain around his neck. Law enforcement also ruled his death a suicide. So these cops ruling these things a suicide. Hate to say it, but it just might be cops that's doing this. It just might be police that are doing these murders, that are hanging these black people. You know, they're not even trying to investigate. And this situation happened a few days ago, and protesters upset over the alleged police brutality took to the streets in Philadelphia again overnight. And this came hours after police shot and killed a man with a knife in West Philadelphia on Monday afternoon. Officers opened fire when they saw the man walk toward them near 61st Street in Locust, refusing to drop the knife. The man who was shot and killed by police was identified as 27-year-old Walter Wallace Jr., and his killing led to a night of protests and riots in West Philly. Monday night, a group of 300 people marched through the streets of West Philly to protest the killing of Wallace Jr. However, it turned violent. Police say 30 officers were injured, including a 56-year-old female officer, and police say the officer injured in stable condition. Also, so they said they have been treated, released from the hospital. Police said most of the officers who were injured were hit with rocks and bricks and other projectiles. And over 30 people were arrested overnight for various charges, included looting, rioting, and assaulting officers. And so the shooting and subsequent violence are now being investigated by the police as well as the district attorney's office. Meanwhile, protesters also smashed the windows at University City Police Station on 40th and Chestnut. On Monday night, they also broke the glass door and spray painted the walls. And he said, recognize that the video of the incident raises many questions. Residents have my assurance that those questions will be fully addressed and by the investigation. And that's Danielle Outlaw, the police commissioner. So this one we're gonna have. This one is ongoing. So we got to make sure I got to keep up on that one. And that was happening in Philly. And as a follow-up to my other story that I did the other day, this is a follow-up story about a girl in Chicago, Tafara Williams, and she was in the car with her boyfriend, Marcellus Stennett, when the police opened fire on their car in Waukegan, Illinois. And Tafara Williams spoke, she got shot, but she didn't die. And so she was also shot. She said that officers did nothing more than cover her boyfriend with a blanket after he was shot and left him on the ground to die. And they allowed him to die, Williams said. They wanted us to bleed out on the ground. Detailing what happened for the first time, Williams stated that she was sitting in her car in front of a home with Stennett, was smoking a cigarette. She said he did not want to smoke near their young child. She said a white officer pulled up and started to question her, telling Stennett that she knew him from when he was in jail. She said after she and Stennett both raised their hands to show the officer they were unarmed, she pulled away slowly. She said the officer did not follow her, but that a short time later, it seemed to her that the officer was waiting for us. There was a crash and I lost control. The officer was shooting at us. The car ended up slamming into a building. I kept screaming, I don't have a gun. They kept shooting. He told me to get out of the car and I had my hands up and I couldn't move because I had been shot. She said that she could hear Stennett breathing and begged the police to take him to the hospital first because he had recently had surgery, but her pleas were ignored. They laid Marcellus on the ground and covered him with a blanket while he was still breathing. She said, I know he was still alive, and they took that away from me. And so 3 days ago, Williams told protesters in a telephone call from a hospital bed that she would continue to fight for justice on Stennett's behalf. He didn't deserve it, and they waited for him to die, she said. Saturday on a call that a crowd of protesters heard after her mother put a megaphone to her cell phone. The press briefing comes exactly 1 week after the shooting and police have said the vehicle driven by Williams with Stennett in the passenger seat fled a traffic stop conducted by a white officer, and they said that a short time later, another officer who was Hispanic approached the vehicle. He opened fire out of fear of his own safety when the vehicle moved in reverse toward him, and no weapon was found in the vehicle. So here we go again. You know, this is a follow-up. Like I said, this happened last week. This is a follow-up story. I'm following up on that because she finally got a chance to speak on it and stated that her boyfriend was still alive, and the police just covered him up with a blanket and didn't even bother to call for the ambulance. And wow. So this is the final story of the day here. The 17-year-old teenager who filmed George Floyd's death in May will receive a prestigious literary award for her cell phone footage, and she really needs to receive a full scholarship, as much money as we could possibly give her. Their family needs money. They probably need to move out of that city because, you know, you got her life is probably being threatened and probably in jeopardy. So this little award is all good and all that, but this 17-year-old girl, she probably needs to be seeing somebody with psychiatric help and a lot of other situations. She sit here, a 17-year-old, watch this man die in front of her. She is a true hero, and she deserves our help. A 17-year-old Darnella Frazier is set to receive the 2020 Penn Benson Courage Award from the nonprofit literary and free expression organization, PEN America. With remarkable steadiness, Darnella carried out the expressive act of bearing witness and allowing hundreds of millions of people around the world to see what she saw. PEN America CEO Suzanne Nozell said in a press release, "Without Darnella's presence of mind and readiness to risk her own safety and well-being, we may never have known the truth about George Floyd's murder, and we are proud to recognize her exceptional courage with this award." On May 25th, Frazier took the viral video that shows ex-police officer Derek Chauvin pinning his knee on Floyd's neck as he was saying he couldn't breathe. A few days following the incident, Frazier said she had faced online criticism for not getting involved in the situation, but instead recording the arrest. But she stated, "I'm not doing it for clout and for attention or to get paid. Now y'all just sound dumb and ignorant." I agree with her. I don't expect anyone who wasn't placed in my position to understand why and how I feel the way I do. Mind you, I'm a 17-year-old kid, and of course I'm not about to fight off a cop, and I'm scared, and she was scared. So Frazier stated on her Facebook post. And Darnella Frazier took an enormous amount of flack in the wake of releasing video. People were accusing her of being in it for the money, for being famous, or were asking why she didn't intervene. It was just left this way. We wanted to go back and recognize and elevate this singular act. Frazier attributes her video to shedding light on the 4 police officers' role in Floyd's death. "If it wasn't for me, the 4 cops would still have their jobs, causing other problems and killing other people. My video went worldwide for everyone to see and know," she stated. And I got to give it to her, man. She's a real true hero, and I'm glad that she filmed this thing. But then, you know, you have somebody named Orta. So Frazier's accolade comes in stark comparison to Ramsey Orta, the man who filmed the death of Eric Gardner, an unarmed black man who was put in a chokehold by the NYPD in 2014. And Garner was saying the same thing. He couldn't breathe. But Orta, who claimed he faced revenge and harassment by law enforcement after this video went viral, said the recording of Gardner put him in a messed up predicament. And so, you know, he was harassed and arrested by the cops, harassed and everything else, man. Took him to jail. He was in, I mean, wow, man, they really did him bad. But this young lady here, I mean, I know she's doesn't want it, but as a people, we need to really try to do what we can to try to get something going to look out for this young lady. She deserves our help. She deserves our accolades, and she deserves financial assistance. She deserves scholarship. Oprah Winfrey, where are you right now? You know, Jay-Z, Beyonce, where are you at right now? You know, Magic Johnson. You know, Michael Jordan, where you at right now? You know, Kanye West, where you at right now? Ice Cube, where you at right now? You know, Steve Harvey, where you at right now? This young lady, Darnella Frazier, deserves free scholarship, a new home paid for in a new location so she can be safe and her family can be safe. You know, hey, you know, she deserves everything we could possibly give her at this point. So this thing, we need to work on this, man. And she needs protection. She needs total protection. Nation of Islam, where are you? We need you. This young lady needs your protection. We need you at this point. So this is my personal opinion. And, you know, because this young lady's going to have to testify against these cops. So between now and the time she gets to have to go to court to testify against these cops, her life is in jeopardy. And she definitely is going to need help from us. Go Dodgers! LA Dodgers, championship champions.